Chapter 30, God's Gift to Man.
I have been shown the great love and condescension of God in giving his Son to die that man might find pardon and live. I was shown Adam and Eve, who were privileged to behold the beauty and loveliness of the Garden of Eden, and were permitted to eat of all the trees in the garden except one. But the serpent tempted Eve, and she tempted her husband, and they both ate of the forbidden tree. They broke God's command and became sinners. The news spread through heaven, and every harp was hushed. The angels sorrowed, and feared lest Adam and Eve would again put forth the hand, and eat of the tree of life, and be immortal sinners. But God said that he would drive the transgressors from the garden, and by cherubim and a flaming sword would guard the way of the tree of life, so that man could not approach unto it, and eat of its fruit which perpetuates immortality. Sorrow filled heaven as it was realized that man was lost, and that the world which God had created was to be filled with mortals doomed to misery, sickness, and death, and that there was no way of escape for the offender. The whole family of Adam must die. I then saw the lovely Jesus, and beheld an expression of sympathy and sorrow upon his countenance. Soon I saw him approach the exceeding bright light which enshrouded the Father. Said my accompanying angel, "He is in close converse with his Father." The anxiety of the angels seemed to be intense while Jesus was communing with his Father. 3 times he was shut in by the glorious light about the Father, and the 3rd time he came from the Father, we could see his person. His countenance was calm, free from all perplexity and trouble, and shone with a loveliness which words cannot describe. He then made known to the angelic choir that a way of escape had been made for lost man, that he had been pleading with his Father and had obtained permission to give his own life as a ransom for the race, to bear the sins and take the sentence of death upon himself, thus opening a way whereby they might, through the merits of his blood, find pardon for past transgressions, and by obedience be brought back to the garden from which they were driven. Then they would again have access to the glorious, immortal fruit of the tree of life, to which they had now forfeited all right. Then joy, inexpressible joy, filled heaven, and the heavenly choir sung a song of praise and adoration. They touched their harps and sung a note higher than they had done before, because of the great mercy and condescension of God in yielding up his dearly beloved to die for a race of rebels. Then praise and adoration was poured forth for the self-denial and sacrifice of Jesus, in consenting to leave the bosom of his Father, and choosing a life of suffering and anguish, and an ignominious death, that he might give life to others. Said the angel, "Think ye that the Father yielded up his dearly beloved Son without a struggle? No, no. It was even a struggle with the God of heaven, whether to let guilty man perish, or to give his darling Son to die for them. Angels were so interested for man's salvation that there could be found among them those who would yield their glory and give their life for perishing man. But, said my accompanying angel, that would avail nothing. The transgression was so great that an angel's life would not pay the debt. Nothing but the death and intercession of God's Son would pay the debt, and save lost man from hopeless sorrow and misery. But the work which was assigned the angels was to ascend and descend with strengthening balm from glory to soothe the Son of God in his life of suffering. They administered unto Jesus. Also their work was to guard and keep the subjects of grace from the evil angels, and from the darkness which was constantly thrown around them by Satan. I saw that it was impossible for God to change his law in order to save lost, perishing man. Therefore, he suffered his darling Son to die for man's transgression.